There's a strange contradiction that shows up in many homes. The more space we have, the more crowded we feel. The more we buy, the harder it becomes to find peace. And then, one day, a person sits down in the same room they've lived in for over 20 years, and suddenly it feels suffocating. Not because the light is bad, not because the vacuum's broken, but because the mind no longer has room to breathe. And yet, in Japan, where apartments are often no more than a few square meters, people live with a kind of lightness that takes your breath away. A low wooden table, a single flower in a vase, a clean shelf with nothing on it, but still full of meaning. And somehow, the house feels like it's breathing too. Today, we'll explore 7 timeless home principles inspired by the quiet simplicity of Japanese living. Not just theory, but practices lived every day by a 73-year-old woman named Misako, who brought these values with her from Kyoto to Oregon, where she now lives with her daughter. From an old, creaky apartment in Japan to a modern American home with every convenience, Misako didn't try to hold on to her old life. She simply lived in the way she always had, with intention. And that gentle way of living transformed not just her space, but the way her daughter and granddaughter began to see what it truly means to live tidy. If you've ever felt overwhelmed by clutter, or even after a long day of cleaning, still felt emotionally heavy, this video might be exactly what your heart has been waiting for. And if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe to Senior Rise, where we share the kind of quiet wisdom that can still change your life after 60. 1. Everything needs a place to return to. On her very first morning in the US, Misako woke up before the sun. No sounds, no rush. She walked slowly through the room her daughter had lovingly prepared. A spacious bed, soft armchair, 2 bedside lamps, and a large dresser. But instead of smiling with satisfaction, she quietly opened the closet and began putting things away. A pillow, 1 lamp, even the armchair gently pushed aside. Not because she didn't appreciate them, but because she had lived by one simple rule for over 70 years. I only keep what I truly use, and each of those things must have a home to return to. A few days later, her granddaughter asked, "Grandma, how do you always know where the keys are?" Misako pointed to a small wooden tray by the front door. "Because this is the key's little home. When every item has a place to return to, there's no need to search. And when you don't have to search, your mind doesn't feel scattered." From the scissors in the desk drawer to the TV remote tucked neatly under the cabinet, everything in Misako's room had a place it belonged, not for decoration, but to save mental energy. She once said, "Every time I couldn't find something, I felt a little out of control. And at my age, all I want is to feel calm in my own space." Have you ever felt like that? Maybe you've spent a whole morning searching for your reading glasses and felt frustrated even before the day began. Older adults in America often have many helpful tools: blood pressure monitors, supplements, notes, remotes, chargers, but without a clear place for each item, the home slowly turns into a maybe space, a place where everything might be somewhere, but nothing feels settled. And we are the ones who end up living in that unease. Misako offered a simple first step. Choose 3 things you use every day: your phone, your glasses, your medication. Create a fixed spot for each one. Not fancy, just clear. Then after 3 days, ask yourself, do I feel just a little more at ease now? If the answer is yes, then congratulations. You've just taken the first quiet step toward living lighter and deeper. If there's a corner in your home, a shelf, a small table, or even a sunny windowsill that helps you breathe easier whenever you see it, I'd love to hear about it. Leave a comment below. Tell me where in your home you go when your soul needs space. 2. Respect the empty spaces that let you breathe. One quiet afternoon, while the family had gone out grocery shopping, Misako sat alone in the living room, facing a bare wall. It used to be where her daughter had hung a large, abstract painting, but after repainting the room, they never got around to putting anything back up. When her daughter asked, "Mom, do you want to hang something here again?" Misako simply shook her head gently, then smiled and said, "I like the wall just as it is. It gives my eyes a place to rest, and my heart a quiet space to breathe." In Japan, there's a concept called jian, which means the space between things. But it's not just empty space, it's intentional silence, where light passes through, the mind settles down, and emotions can soften. In her old home back in Kyoto, Misako always kept one shelf on her bookcase completely empty, not because she lacked books, but because she wanted a place that wasn't occupied by information, just a simple pause for the eyes, a moment of stillness, a deeper breath. When she moved to the US, she noticed how most kitchens used every inch of space. Counters were filled with jars, coffee makers, notes, vitamins, refrigerator doors covered in magnets, photos, messages, bills. She never judged, but she often said, when the outside is too noisy, it's hard to hear what's going on inside. One evening, when her granddaughter complained about not being able to focus at her study desk because it was too cluttered, Misako didn't say a word. She just cleared the entire surface, leaving only a clean notebook, a pen, and a small lamp. That night, her granddaughter said nothing. But from the next day on, the desk remained exactly that way. Have you ever tried leaving a corner of your home completely empty, just one tabletop, one shelf, or even a stretch of wall with nothing on it, so the space simply exists? As a gentle reminder, breathe and just be here in this very moment. If you haven't tried it yet, today might be a good day to begin. 3. Cleaning as a daily ritual. Every morning, while the rest of the house was still asleep, Misako would quietly rise, not to cook, not to water the plants, but to do something quiet and sacred. She would wipe down each step of the staircase with a warm cloth. No one asked her to, no one noticed, but she did it anyway, as if it were as essential as breathing. When her granddaughter once asked, "Grandma, why don't you just wait until the weekend and clean everything at once?" Misako smiled gently and said, "When dust piles up, your heart feels heavy before you even begin." In Japan, children are taught that cleaning isn't about dirt. It's about gratitude for the space that holds your life. That's why Misako never left water sitting in the sink overnight. She always folded the blanket as soon as she got up from the sofa, and every night before bed, she would wipe down the small table by the window, the same table where she wrote in her journal each afternoon. When she moved to America, she was surprised and touched to see that older adults here also have their own quiet rituals. Some rinse their coffee mug the moment they finish drinking. Others fold the blanket on their recliner every evening. Some light a scented candle before going to bed, not for fragrance, but for closure. Misako once said, "It's not about keeping things clean. It's about beginning and ending each day with intention." Have you ever thought of cleaning as a ritual? Not a chore, not a duty, but a quiet dialogue between you and the space that shelters you. Just start with something small. Fold the blanket when you stand up. Wipe the counter before bedtime. Line up your shoes before you turn off the lights. With time, the home begins to remember. And when you walk back in, it greets you, not with words, but with peace. 4. Less furniture, more flow. Back in Kyoto, Misako never had a sofa in her living room. She laid out soft tatami mats, placed a low wooden table in the center, and sat on floor cushions. When guests arrived or it was time to clean, she simply folded things away. And just like that, the space opened up again, light and unburdened. But in America, things felt different. Misako began to notice how most living rooms were filled with beautiful furniture. Armchairs, sectional sofas, large coffee tables, media centers, bookshelves, all functional, all lovely. But something felt blocked. One day, she quietly told her daughter, "I notice we're always walking around things. From the kitchen to the sofa, you have to dodge the table. Going up the stairs, you lean to one side because of the bookshelf." Then, she shared an image I'll never forget. Imagine your home is like a stream of water. If there are too many stones, the water can't flow. But if the stones are placed well, the current moves gently, even beautifully. With that mindset, Misako gently helped her daughter rethink the room. They stored away a chair no one ever used, moved the coffee table closer to the window where the light poured in, and removed a few decorative items from high shelves that were hard to dust and easy to ignore. And something remarkable happened. The room felt instantly bigger, brighter, and somehow easier to breathe in. Have you ever felt that? Is there something in your home you walk around every day, so often that you've stopped noticing how much space it really takes up? Misako often said, "We don't lack space. We just allow too many things to block the natural flow of our homes." If you'd like to try something new, start with a gentle question. Is there one item in this room I could live without for just a week? Put it away just for 7 days and pay attention to how your body feels each time you pass through the room. If you're still here and listening at this point, thank you. Truly, I appreciate your quiet presence more than you know. Where are you watching from? And what time is it right now? Leave a comment below. I read every word you share with care. 5. Letting go, gently, of the things that no longer serve you. In the very last drawer of Misako's dresser sat a porcelain vase, cracked long ago. It could no longer hold water. It couldn't be used for flowers anymore. And yet, it had stayed there, quietly, for over 10 years. One afternoon, as she was reorganizing with her granddaughter, Misako gently lifted it out, placed her hand on the side, and whispered, "Thank you for walking with me this far." Then she wrapped the vase in a soft cloth and placed it inside a box, ready to be donated to a local thrift store. No tears, no hesitation, just a quiet goodbye, like parting with an old friend after a peaceful farewell. After years of living in America, Misako had noticed something. Older adults here tend to hold on to many things, just in case. An old pair of shoes, a broken lamp, a drawer full of tangled charging cords with no matching devices. And deeper than that, we often hold on to things not for their function, but for the memories they carry, even if those memories no longer bring us joy. Misako once said, "It's not the object we're afraid of letting go. It's the part of ourselves we're scared to leave behind." But then, she added gently, "If something no longer serves your life today, perhaps it's time for it to continue its story somewhere else. We don't have to throw it out in frustration. We can simply send it off with gratitude." Are you holding on to something you haven't used in years? Maybe a jacket you haven't worn since 2019. or a blender that hasn't worked in a decade but still sits on the counter. Place your hand on it and ask, does this still serve the life I'm living today? If not, wrap it gently. Say thank you. Let it go. You're not discarding a memory. You're simply clearing space for something new, something lighter, to enter your life. Is there something you've been holding on to for years that you no longer use? If you feel comfortable, share the story in the comments. Sometimes simply saying it out loud is all it takes to begin letting go gently. 6. Refreshing the home with the seasons. Every time the wind began to change, Misako would quietly do something no one asked her to do. She'd swap out the tablecloth for a lighter fabric. She'd change the curtains, thinner for spring, warmer for winter. And on the little wooden tea table by the window, she'd place a few new branches, white chrysanthemums in early summer, pink plum blossoms in spring, or a single dried leaf found in the yard during autumn. No one reminded her. There was no seasonal checklist taped to the fridge. And yet, she changed things, as if she and her home were moving gently through time, together. She used to say, just as we change our clothes with the seasons, the home too should reflect the mood of the earth. It doesn't require new purchases, only small changes. They remind us that time is passing and that we are still part of it. In America, she discovered a different, all but equally lovely rhythm. Families decorating for Halloween, twinkling lights during Christmas, a small flag for Independence Day. She didn't shop much, but she appreciated the spirit behind it. And so she blended the two worlds, the simplicity and quiet elegance of Japan, with the warmth and festive joy of America. A dried wreath in October, a red cloth at year's end, a string of tiny lights in the window. It was enough to help her home breathe with the seasons. Have you ever tried something like that? Not for decoration, but as a quiet way to say, I'm still here, I'm still alive, and I'm walking with time, not letting it pass me by. If not, maybe start with something simple, a small basket. Fill it with objects that reflect the weather, or your current season of life, a dry twig, a cozy scarf, or a single flower from the garden. And every time you walk by it, let it be a gentle reminder, I am here, I am living, I am listening. 7. Creating a small corner for connection and memory. In her new American home, Misako didn't have many decorations, but she did have one very special corner, small and simple, by the kitchen window, where the morning light poured in just right. On an old wooden table, she placed a framed family photo. Next to it sat a small notebook, a fountain pen she had used since the 1980s, and a porcelain teacup with a tiny crack, a gift from her granddaughter when Misako first moved in. Nothing expensive, nothing fancy, but everything had a story. And each morning, as she wrote a few lines, sipped her tea, and watched the sunlight fall across the table, she knew, in that moment, she truly belonged to this home. Misako once said, every home should have a place, even just the size of a chair, where you can sit and reconnect with yourself. As we grow older and the world grows quieter around us, the presence of meaningful, memory-filled items becomes more important than ever. Not to cling to the past, but to build a bridge between yesterday and today. A way to stay rooted, even as the tasks of daily life try to pull us away from ourselves. Do you have a corner like that in your home? It doesn't have to be elegant. It could be a chair by the window, a worn bookshelf, or simply the spot where you keep the very first letter your child ever wrote to you. And if you don't have one yet, create it. Just a small space, just for you. Not to impress anyone, not to be shown off, but simply to be there. For you. When we reflect on the 7 home principles Misako brought with her, this 73-year-old woman who carried an entire way of living across the ocean to a small home in Oregon, we begin to understand. A peaceful home isn't about how much dust you wipe or how many things you throw away. It's about how you speak to your space and how it speaks back. From giving each item a place to return to letting light pass through intentional emptiness. From wiping the stairs as a gentle morning ritual to wrapping a sentimental object with gratitude and care. From living with the seasons to simply sitting down in a quiet corner and being fully present. These actions may not make your home perfect, but they make it feel like it's truly yours. You don't need to practice all 7 principles today. Just choose the one that stirs something in your heart. Maybe it's a key tray. Maybe it's an empty shelf. Maybe it's saying thank you to an object before letting it go. Or lighting a candle each evening, not to clean the room, but to quiet the mind. Because life after 60 isn't about slowing down. It's about going deeper. It's about doing less with more meaning. And sometimes, peace doesn't come from doing more, but from knowing exactly what to release. Thank you for staying with us until the end of this video. If you're still here, it means you chose to stay present with yourself in a world that's moving faster and faster. If one of these 7 principles made you want to begin changing your space, even in a small way, leave us a comment. Or simply write, "I'm still listening." We at Senior Rise read every message, and we are truly grateful for each moment you choose to share with us. If you know someone who lives alone, who might need a little gentleness today, send this video to them. And if you'd like to walk this quiet path with us, filled with healing stories, soft wisdom, and gentle reminders, don't forget to subscribe, because no matter your age, you still deserve to live peacefully in a home that knows how to breathe with you.